On this Friday night, tributes and condolences flow in honor of an Ottawa teenager who's passed away. Jonathan Pitre inspired awe in those he met. His fight to help beat his illness inspired hope in those who continue to live with its brutality. Also tonight, 5 years after she died, how Rtea Parsons' legacy is felt by teenaged girls today. This is The National. His disease changed his life from almost the moment of his birth, leaving him in pain and limiting many of childhood's joys. But Jonathan Pitre had lessons to teach, that courage can be limitless, that no goal is too high to reach for, and that no dream is too much to imagine. Catherine Cullen looks at a life of challenge and inspiration.
And we are here to invite you to speak on stage as a We Day speaker for National We Day, April 1st.
Wow. Wow.
There will be 16,000 kids.
No problem.
Jonathan Pitre's disease made his body fragile, but not his spirit.
How's it going, We Day? I'm in constant pain, and most of the time I'm limited to my wheelchair. But that's the last negative thing you're going to hear from me. Instead, I want to share my dreams with you.
He was born with an incredibly painful disease known as epidermolysis bullosa, or EB. His skin constantly blistered and scarred, comparable to third-degree burns. A few years ago, he and his mother agreed to give the Ottawa Citizen newspaper an intimate look at his life. His story gained attention around the world and raised tens of thousands of dollars for an EB charity.
He has been one of the most heroic patients I have ever known and heroic people I've ever known. And I have learned a great deal from him about how courageous and determined one can be.
Today, in a Facebook post, his mother, Tina Boileau, said he tirelessly fought to raise awareness for this horrific disease. I am proud to say you did it, Johnny boy. She asked for privacy for her family as they grieved a fearless warrior. People in Ottawa and beyond followed as Jonathan was in and out of hospital fighting his disease. Here he is right before heading to Minneapolis for a bone marrow transplant.
So it's going to be a pretty tough time, so I've been relaxing mostly. It's been good, though. I've been spending a lot of time with my family and my dog, so just trying to spend all the memories I can with them before I leave.
Among his admirers, his beloved Ottawa Senators, who made him a scout for a day and surprised him in Minnesota before that bone marrow transplant.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good to see you again.
Oh, come on, we got a hug.
We brought the whole team for you.
It's amazing and how inspiring a kid that young can be for so many people.
The Prime Minister called Jonathan a hero in every sense of the word, a courageous and determined fighter who persisted in the face of every challenge and who inspired so many. Ottawa's mayor called him one of the bravest people I ever had the honor of meeting. Jonathan Pitre died Wednesday from an infection. He was 17. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
You may have noticed on the video the butterfly on Jonathan's arm. There is a poignant meaning behind that. Due to their skin's fragility, he and others living with EB are known as butterfly children. And tonight, the Ottawa Senators paid another special tribute to Jonathan as they warmed up to play the Pittsburgh Penguins. The team posted this picture on Instagram, the initials JP and a butterfly. EB is a rare disease. In the U.S., for example, about 20,000 babies are born with it each year. Not all of them have the severe form that Jonathan had, but for those who do, there's no cure and very little treatment. Some patients spend hours every day wrapping their bodies and changing dressings to protect their wounds and to prevent infection. Some have also undergone experimental treatments like skin grafts. We recently got a close look at what it's like to care for a child with EB. Crystal Normand and her husband invited us to their home to meet their 4-month-old, Leo.
If you were a big scary ape, I would make your birthday cake out of bananas and I would tell you, I love you. Then I'd make you a mountain of hamburgers. When Leo was born, just from the trauma, actually his feet, all the skin was removed just from that in utero friction. With Leo's skin and other people with EB, the bottom layer is anchored, but the top layer doesn't have that. That holds it in place. So that in turn friction will cause blistering or the skin to actually shear right off. Every time we went out, he would have a different wound in a different place, and it was never what we had anticipated. We've had to really be creative in making some adaptations to his equipment. So using like a foam piece in between his legs in the car seat, using padding in different areas, even like when we're planning our routes, like we don't want to go down bumpy roads or anything that might provide additional rubbing on his skin. Here we go. Personally, it was really almost like therapeutic or cathartic to be able to speak about it. It like takes some of the power away from the condition. We tried to find the positive in every day, every smile, every little thing we don't take for granted with him. Of all the genetic conditions, this is probably the one that's got the most hope for a cure or a really effective treatment, and it's hopeful that that'll be within the next 5 years or so. It's kind of an exciting thing for us, the prospect that he could be healed maybe by the time he's ready to attend school. Hello! I'm gonna show your big boy strength. Look at that.
You heard Norman say she's hoping for a treatment. Recently, doctors in Europe used experimental gene therapy on a young patient with promising results. They took a small piece of the boy's skin, added a modified version of his mutated gene, and grew sheets of skin in a lab. Now, once it was ready, they transplanted it onto him. 8 months later, nearly all the boy's skin had been replaced. A deal on NAFTA may be just around the corner. CBC News has learned that negotiators are hammering out the details of a preliminary agreement in Washington. We could see an announcement in the coming days or the coming weeks. That would be a big change in tone for the Trump administration, whose trade feud with China is escalating. We'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, Katie Simpson on the renewed sense of optimism at the NAFTA talks.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Chrystia Freeland emerged from 5 hours of high-level meetings empty-handed, but not disappointed.
We have entered, over the past couple of weeks, very much including today, a new, more intensive phase of engagement.
The re-energized discussions will be handed over to the chief negotiators, who will keep talking over the next few days. CBC News has learned NAFTA partners are close to an agreement in principle that would focus heavily on the auto sector. A source with direct knowledge of the talks says the details could be worked out in a matter of weeks, or it could even be completed before the heads of all three countries meet late next week at the Summit of the Americas.
Well, we're all working very hard to try and get to make as much progress as we can in a shorter period of time.
Looming elections in Mexico this summer and the U.S. this fall are partly behind the recent drive to work faster. And there are clear signs the political will to get to a deal is there.
Let's smile.
Delegations from all three countries met last night for a friendly dinner to set the mood for today's discussions. Even with the smiles and hugs, there is much work ahead. But for Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, who has spent months trying to keep this deal alive, these developments are positive.
I think she really is reassured that the U.S. isn't going to pull the plug on this deal, that we probably can come to a successful negotiation eventually.
Canada is desperate for that kind of reassurance. The longer there is uncertainty around NAFTA, the more likely it is that investors will choose to put their money in the U.S. rather than Canada. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
So it seems the Trump administration is working towards a NAFTA deal with one hand while it starts a trade war with the other. The U.S. president says he's considering imposing tariffs on an additional $100 billion in imports from China. But on a New York radio show, he did acknowledge the inherent danger of provoking the world's second largest economy.
We've already lost a trade war. We don't have a trade war. We've lost a trade war. The easiest thing for me to do would be just to close my eyes and forget it. If I did that, I'm not doing my job. So I'm not saying there won't be a little pain, but the market's gone up 40%, 42%, so we might lose a little bit of it. But we're going to have a much stronger country when we're finished.
Well, the markets did react with pain today. The Dow Jones closed down nearly 600 points, or 2.3%. The S&P 500 was down more than 2% as well, and the TSX slipped. Asian markets seemed relatively unrattled, though, as did Chinese officials who show no sign of backing down. Lindsay Duncombe has reaction.
First week on the job, and Donald Trump's top economic advisor is turning down the temperature on his boss's tough talk.
Nothing's happened. Nothing's been executed. I read about how there's no there yet, but there will be.
Trump's $100 billion threat is just that, a statement, not an order. Strategic bluster, perhaps. But the Chinese are taking it seriously, promising today to fight back quickly and decisively. U.S. farmers are especially scared of what that could mean. They depend on Chinese markets. Republican Senator from Nebraska Ben Sasse said if he's half serious, this is nuts, calling Trump's plan the dumbest possible way to deal with China. Democrats were equally blunt.
There are smart ways of negotiating, and there are stupid ways of negotiating. You don't want to put yourself in the position of having to basically lose your credibility if you have to back down.
But being tough on China was a key theme of the president's election campaign. And some believe it's the only way to solve legitimate grievances, such as Chinese companies stealing trade secrets from American competitors.
You can't have free trade with a country that cheats and steals.
To put Trump's threat in perspective, it's right in line with another unexpected pronouncement this week, the hastily organized plan to put National Guard troops on the border with Mexico. Both plans appeal to the president's base, and both have left officials to brace for the consequences. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Some people who live in a Hamilton, Ontario neighborhood are still reeling tonight after witnessing a teenager shot and killed by police earlier this week. Officers were called here on Tuesday after a report of a threat involving a weapon. Ontario's Special Investigations Unit, now investigating, says 2 officers fired their weapons and they struck Quinn McDougall. The 19-year-old man was pronounced dead in hospital. Shannon Windsor says her 3 children were playing road hockey and they saw the police shooting.
The questions are, what if I see it again, Mom? Why did it happen? Was Quinn the bad guy? Are the cops the bad guys? Why would they shoot him?
An exclusive CBC News investigation has been tracking fatal interactions between Canadians and police. As we showed you last night, the number of people killed has been going up. Katie Nicholson went inside an RCMP training program aimed at reversing that trend.
Of all the classrooms an RCMP cadet will spend time in, they'll likely log the most hours in this one, learning how to apply deadly force with precision. A CBC analysis of police-involved deaths since 2000 found 461 people died in interactions with police. 118 of those deaths involved the RCMP, which polices nearly 8 million people in Canada. 14% of the people shot and killed by RCMP were unarmed, more than twice the national average. Recently, they've introduced methods to better train people, going a little more high-tech than paper targets. Think of it as a giant gaming system. There's pepper spray, a baton, and as a last resort,
we supply them with a pistol, which is the exact same pistol that our members use, except it's modified to have a laser in the barrel, and it shoots the laser towards the screen.
What's your problem?
This game is harder than it looks.
Are you going to shoot me?
Hey, calm down. I don't want you. I want you to just calm down and relax.
And it puts you on the spot.
Right now, you've got that time. You've got that window to keep the verbals going like you've got.
But in this program, talk is not enough. And not using force isn't an option.
If he hits you in the head and it causes you to go unconscious and you go down, what's he got access to?
Everything.
Everything, including your?
My gun.
Then what could happen?
I would be dead.
Potentially.
Yeah.
What?
It's hard to figure out the exact moment it's too late for pepper spray and time for lethal force.
You.
Just relax. Let's just talk this through.
You better do something quick.
Let's. Okay. Sorry. Gonna have to do this.
You son of a bitch!
The more we can expose them to it, the more practice we can give them, hopefully the better they'll perform out in the field.
Cadets are also trained on how to calm themselves down in a crisis. It's a technique called combat breathing.
It's taking in a deep breath and holding it, releasing it, and pausing before you take the next one. It brings the heart rate down. It breaks the tunnel vision and allows them to regain their focus and make sure that they're getting a complete picture.
But the former head of the Toronto Police Service Board says there's still far too much of an emphasis on guns in police training.
It is the bulk of their training. And they have to recertify every year in use of deadly force. What is the message they get? That this is the most important skill that they have.
Hell no.
But maybe the skills learned in this classroom will mean officers will be less likely to have to use the skills from this classroom in the field. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Regina.
The CBC News analysis shows that on average, every 2 weeks, someone dies in an interaction with police, and sometimes that comes with criminal consequences for the officer involved. Of the 461 cases since 2000 involving a fatal interaction with police, the CBC could only identify 18 where criminal charges were laid against an officer. Just 2 of those resulted in convictions. Constable James Forcillo was found guilty of attempted murder in the death of Sami Yatim on a Toronto streetcar in 2013. And Sergeant Eric Delorier was found guilty of manslaughter in the fatal shooting of teenager David Hughes Lacour in 2014. Both are appealing their convictions. Here's what else we're working on tonight on The National. The Trump administration slaps new sanctions on members of Putin's inner circle. What does that really mean in Moscow? Chris Brown will tell us. The latest story in our series, Reduce, Reuse, Rethink. Are you sure you know what's supposed to go in that blue box? And 5 years after her death, how Rhea Parsons changed conversations in her community and across Canada.
I've gone to parties with a specific intent to just get laid. I too could have caused something like that to happen. I too could have ruined a young girl's life. I too could have ruined, an entire family's life.
When we fly and when we buy, we expect rewards. Call them points or miles. Worldwide, consumers have racked up an estimated 8 trillion, enough to make 300 million trips around the world.
I think a recent Economist article suggested it may be the second largest currency in the world after the US dollar is in fact loyalty points or miles.
Rob McLean used to run Canadian Airlines' frequent flyer program. Now he's head of points.com, where consumers can exchange their points in one program for another.
Now when you're shopping for gas at Esso, you may be able to convert those Esso extra points into Aeroplan miles.
Attractive for consumers with bulging banks of points. And according to Webflyer, which tracks points worldwide, they are being earned 4 times faster than they're being redeemed. Potential problem? Even if no more were awarded, it would take 23 years to use them up.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm afraid that if I don't use them, I'm going to lose them.
Not in Canada, according to Aeroplan.
You need exactly 25,000 points.
The country's largest frequent flyer program with 6 million members.
If I stopped the program today, it would take about 2 years for all of the points on average in people's accounts to be redeemed.
But the program won't stop, says Deschênes, because Aeroplan's partnerships with credit card companies and hotels make Air Canada hundreds of millions in revenues. But the looming prospect isn't lost.
If your liabilities of points are much bigger than your ability to redeem, then you're going to end up with a lot of unhappy customers.
And I know a lot of people that have trouble redeeming them because there's no seats available.
This business analyst says Air Canada tried to tighten up award levels and seats post-September 11th.
This hour on The National, some breaking news from Saskatchewan. The RCMP says there's been a serious collision involving a team bus. It happened near Tisdale, which is about 200 kilometers northeast of Saskatoon. Police haven't said who exactly was involved in the collision. We don't have information yet about injuries. And we have an update on the former Russian spy Sergei Skripal tonight, a month after he and his daughter were poisoned with a nerve agent in Salisbury, England.
He's responding well to treatment, improving rapidly, and is no longer in a critical condition.
A big step forward after weeks in hospital under heavy sedation, and Skripal's daughter Yulia is doing even better. Now in stable condition, she's talking and getting stronger by the day. Unfortunately, police say their pets have died with no one to care for them. Skripal, who blew the cover of dozens of Russian agents, was found unconscious along with his daughter on a Salisbury Park bench last month, sparking a major diplomatic incident. The Trump administration took aim at Russia today with new sanctions against some of its most powerful people. It is the latest in a series of increasingly tough measures meant to punish Russia for its involvement in Syria and Crimea, and for trying to influence the U.S. election. The measures target 7 oligarchs with close ties to President Vladimir Putin and a dozen companies they own or control. They also affect 17 high-level officials at the Kremlin and a government agency in charge of selling Russian-made weapons. Well, let's get the perspective from Moscow now, and that's where our reporter Chris Brown is based. And Chris, the West has hit Russia with sanctions since 2014. How significant are these?
They're pretty significant, but also slightly different as well. The first few rounds of sanctions tended to focus mostly on people inside Russia's government, in the Kremlin, the Justice Ministry, also certain sectors such as the oil sector. This broadens that circle fairly dramatically, really going after the people who control, who run Russia's economy, the tycoons, as it were. The point is that there's a lot of money that goes back and forth between the Kremlin and this very, very small elite, and they're trying to disrupt that. Take the case of one of them, Oleg Deripaska. He's worth $6 billion according to Forbes. He's known as Russia's aluminum king. Today, the U.S. Treasury Department also said he's a pretty shady character, responsible for things such as extortion, racketeering, investigated for money laundering. What this is going to mean is that any of his assets in any U.S. jurisdictions can now be seized, and any business that he does with any other company, well, the Americans can put sanctions on that company. So the point is to try to make him and his money as toxic as possible.
And what has the reaction been in Russia today?
Lots of reaction. On the one hand, the Kremlin is saying not really so much of a big deal. We've survived sanctions before, which is true. Russia's economy did bounce back after those sanctions brought in 2014. And maybe many ordinary Russians won't feel this because it's aimed at the elite. On the other hand, a lot of critics outside Russia are very happy. They think that this is the kind of thing that should have been done a long time ago, going after the class that essentially supports Vladimir Putin. There is a chance, though, it could all backfire. Already today, we've heard from the Kremlin that they're not going to simply abandon any of these companies that are under sanctions. They're going to extend credit. They're going to extend the money if they need it. And that, in effect, could end up bringing many of these sanctioned companies even closer to the Kremlin.
Chris Brown in Moscow tonight. Now, Chris mentioned one of the oligarchs being targeted by these new sanctions, Oleg Deripaska, Russia's so-called aluminum king. Here's a look at some of the others. Kirill Shamalov married Vladimir Putin's youngest daughter in 2013, quickly becoming one of Russia's richest men. At one point, he owned almost a quarter of a major petrochemicals firm. After that marriage reportedly ended, Putin is believed to have punished Shamalov financially, though he remains very wealthy. Suleiman Karimov controls Russia's largest gold producer. He is noted for both his philanthropy and his questionable dealings. Karimov remains under investigation in France on tax evasion charges, and that's Alexander Torshim. He may not be the wealthiest Russian on the list, but he reportedly has deep ties within the NRA. Torshim is believed to have tried to set up a meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin at an NRA convention in 2016. Still ahead, Rehtaeh Parsons' death began a cross-country conversation 5 years ago, from consent to cyberbullying and how to give girls the tools to stand up for themselves. Her legacy for teens in her community, next.
It breaks my heart that it wasn't talked about as much as it should have been.
You know, we should just honor her by spreading her story and not, just hiding it away because it's something really important.
And a musician now who's really more than that. He's a composer, singer, performer, and guitarist, and he's Canada's rising young star of rock and roll. Stand by for a noisy day in the life of Bryan Adams as he tells about the agony and the acclaim in his struggle to the top.
Life on the road is tough for rock and rollers. Just ask them. Crummy food, lonely motel rooms, bumpy hours on the bus trying to catch some sleep between towns, and night after night they have to get up there and dazzle all those screaming fans. But obviously Bryan Adams thrives on it.
Well, I kind of feel really good up there. It's very exhilarating to be up there, and it's 45 minutes of anything you want, You're in control, and you have the ability to move 5,000 people or 1,000 people, or even if it's 10 people, you have the ability to take them from nothingness to excitement.
You seem to have a real solid contact with the audience. You seem to kind of go out and say, come here, look, this is me.
I think that's really important. People want to be entertained, especially at $12 a head or something they're paying. The more entertainment you can give them for their money, the more they're gonna respect you for one, and I think the more they're gonna want to come see you again. Now, close to 3 months.
Is it a grind?
Oh, yeah. You break out in pimples and...
I don't believe it. Rock stars don't break out in pimples.
Oh, yeah. It gets really tiring because you're going from one town to the next and you don't get a lot of time to sleep or relax, and sometimes you sleep, hours in the van. It's a grind. It definitely is, and I hate clubhouse sandwiches.
But the biggest problem with being on the road is that it interferes with Bryan's other talent, songwriting.
The only song I wrote on the road was Coming Home, which is the ballad on the album. And other than that, I've had no luck. I can't do it. I'm too uptight all the time, thinking about what's going to happen next. It's just too difficult.
When he does write songs, it's with his partner of 4 years, Jim Vallance, who used to be with the Vancouver band Prism. Vallance wrote the songs on Prism's first hit album in the mid-'70s. How do you split the duties when two people write a song?
Well, he does the floors and I do the walls. Probably the best songs we've written are probably songs we just sat down, didn't have any idea what we were going to do, and just sat down and did it. And for some reason, they just turned the giant tap on upstairs and it just came out of us.
It also helps to get the juices flowing if someone asks them to write a song. The band Kiss did that recently, and the new song will be on their next album.
We have a list upstairs of about 50 different acts that need songs.
Well, how do you know when you've got a good one?
You just know.
It's intuitive. We've written about 40 tunes in the last 2 years, and 30 or 35 of them are on vinyl.
In songwriting, Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance are truly partners. That's where the magic comes from. They say they're much better writers together than apart.
Tomorrow marks 5 years since the death of Rehtaeh Parsons, whose ordeal brought scrutiny to sexual assault and privacy in this age of technology. At 15, Rehtaeh went to a party to see friends and have fun. Instead, she was photographed while vomiting out a window as a boy had sex with her. The photograph was then shared online, sparking more than a year of humiliation and bullying that ultimately proved to be too much. Rehtaeh died in hospital after a suicide attempt. She was just 17 years old. The outrage over her death and what led to it is still felt 5 years later, especially in her home community. Elizabeth Chu explores Rehtaeh's legacy.
At Sackville High School, there's a girls' empowerment club, Girl on Fire. They're not afraid to talk about heavy stuff.
You don't think it's talked about enough?
Sexual consent, self-worth, depression. Those issues dogged Rehtaeh Parsons.
It breaks my heart that it wasn't talked about as much as it should have been.
I think maybe like the Rehtaeh story was talked about with adults, but who it really needs to be focused on is like teens, like people our age. Like that's who it happened to, a girl that was 15.
I remember seeing it on the news actually, and then as a 10-year-old, you know, like you don't really think about that kind of stuff until it happens.
Their worldview, their lives have been changed by Rehtaeh.
A lot more people are aware of like consent and that it wasn't her fault at all, because teenagers stuff happens and doesn't mean that they have right to do that to her at all.
Guiding the group is a teacher, Megan Lemoyne. She herself was sexually assaulted, but she doesn't see herself as a victim.
For me, talking about it does take the power away, and it does help me.
She's walking the talk.
I hope that instead of like this seeming like a super downer, that it's more of a like rage fire that makes you want to go out there in the world and, you know, stand up for yourself and be a positive role model for other girls.
In the aftermath of that photo, lawyer David Fraser successfully challenged Nova Scotia's first cyberbullying law, which had been rushed through months after Rehtaeh died. A court deemed it was unconstitutional. A new law was passed, but not enacted. Fraser gave the government recommendations on regulations, and he hopes they get it right this time. But even after all the talk about how to stop cyber abuse, he says that misses the heart of her story.
Consent, young people, alcohol consumption, intoxication, all these other sorts of things that really was at the core of the beginning of what happened.
Jacob Wells went to high school with Rehtaeh. The date she died is tattooed to his wrist, her mark on his life.
You know, I've gone to parties with a specific intent to just get laid.
He didn't really know her. She was a few years younger than him, and he didn't think much about all the rumors and gossip about her. But his younger sister was a friend of hers who opened his eyes, and he reached his own reckoning, an ugly truth.
It really upset me to realize, you know, this young girl is no longer here. Her family is forever ruined. I too could have caused something like that to happen. I too could have ruined a young girl's life. I too could have ruined, you know, an entire family's life.
Wells is a construction worker who journals about topics like consent. It helps him to cope with depression. But he struggles with how to talk to his buddies at the job site over how they talk about and ogle women.
Most men, you know, you see a girl walking up the sidewalk, oh, it's just ridiculous.
Rehtaeh's friends are now young women, but she's not forgotten. As a teen, Bryony Jollymore was threatened by a bully to stop talking about her friend. But she won't stop. She's even given her daughter a middle name, Rehtaeh. But some things never change.
When I did this, I actually had some people that thought it was wrong to name her after her, and were kind of more like, wow, well, why would you name your daughter after some girl that killed herself or something?
Her answer? Rehtaeh was kind and caring. She'll share with her daughter the sadness, too, and vows to help kids in distress in Rehtaeh's memory.
A girl who changed all the rules. Changed how we viewed things. She, her story almost kind of, I find, rewrote what we think about mental health and suicide awareness. So.
And she went to a party with a friend.
The conversation that's opened up about sexual consent, mental health, empowerment is the legacy that endures. Just ask Madison Sasko, one of the youngest members of Girl on Fire. She's 15.
You know, we should just honor her by spreading her story and like not, you know, just hiding it away because it's something really important.
She was 15.
Elizabeth Chu, CBC News, Lower Sackville.
To Winnipeg now, and a story about a tragedy and tribute that's caught the attention of the entire National Hockey League. It began as a small personal act from a Prairie friend. But as Karen Pauls tells us, it's grown into a quest that's swept up hockey fans across North America.
So these are a number of players that we have in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Kimberly Matthews is getting the royal treatment from the LA Kings.
Marcel Dion, Wayne Gretzky, Luc Robitaille, Rob Blake.
But the jersey she's carrying is the real focus of attention. Even this former hockey star gets in on the act.
That's fantastic what you guys are doing.
There's a lot of bad stuff in the world, and this was something that was really good, and I knew that the hockey fans around Canada, US, everywhere would grasp onto it.
This hockey sweater represents a friendship that began a decade ago. Winnipegger Graham Fortledge met Carter Jansen when they were junior high students playing video games online.
We hit it off with an instant friendship.
Jansen lived in rural Saskatchewan and had never been to an NHL game, so in 2016, the two friends hatched a plan.
To meet up in Winnipeg and attend the home opener for the Winnipeg Jets against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Then tragedy struck.
In spring of 2016, he ended up being killed in a car crash.
Devastated, Fortledge made 2 customized jerseys. He planned to take them to a Jets game in memory of his friend.
Finally, somebody suggested, why not try to hit every single arena in a single season?
So Fortledge started a Facebook page and reached out to hockey fans. Total strangers helped bring the jersey to indoor and outdoor games across the NHL, including this game in the Carolina Hurricanes arena.
Let's go, Carter!
Jansen's family is touched by this quest and the response.
Carter will not be forgotten, and just because of this, and Graham, he's like become a part of our family now.
One of the jerseys returned to Winnipeg just in time to bring it to last night's Jets game. Fortledge couldn't get far without people stopping to ask him about it.
It's overwhelming, but at the same time, it is so satisfying.
The second jersey will get home from California for the Jets' first playoff game next week. Eventually, both will be framed and given to Jansen's family.
I think it'd be good closure at the end of it all, but at the same time, it'll be bittersweet that it's coming to an end.
But before that, one more big appearance. The NHL is flying Fortledge and the jerseys to the Stanley Cup Final. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Because it's so woven into this country's fabric, hockey is a natural vehicle for memorializing and paying tribute. Now a new Canadian movie is expanding the metaphor. Indian Horse tells the story of a young Ojibwe boy. For him, hockey is an escape from a searing residential school experience. And while the shame of that Canadian institution reaches across generations, the film suggests this country's game has its own history to reckon with. Salima Shivji looks at a complex relationship.
They said I should tell my story.
A story of being ripped from his family, stripped of his culture.
The Lord God is your father now.
Yet finding refuge on the rink. Indian Horse is based on the novel by the late Richard Wagamese. The author's poetic words now translated to the screen. The film is stark. It doesn't shy away from depicting cruel racism and the lingering scars of the residential school system. Montreal director Stephen Campanelli, who recruited his friend Clint Eastwood to executive produce, follows several decades of Saul's life, portrayed by 3 actors. Sladen Peltier, who plays the youngest Saul, was plucked directly from his team's roster. He had no acting experience. A year later, he was nominated for a Canadian Screen Award. His coach father coached him on set, and both parents supported him through emotional scenes. Sladen's reaction to his new role can sound like any kid.
I was like, wow, I'm gonna be in a movie. Whoa.
At other times, it's clear the 11-year-old understands the power of this story.
This is to teach people about what happened, and it's to help people heal from what happened.
I had to get out. I had to get out.
Painful to watch for Fred Sasakamoose, the first Indigenous man to play in the NHL and a residential school survivor himself.
It brought back some, feelings, right? The hurt that I went through in 1940, 1939. I always wanted to go home. I always wanted to.
For Sasakamoose, it was much easier to watch the hockey scenes, even as Saul is floored by racial slurs from both teammates and fans.
I got shocked seeing Indians skate.
The more you yell at me as a redskin, I wanted to continue.
The Flyers explode early, spearheaded by record-breaking Reggie Leach.
As did Reggie Leach, a former Philadelphia Flyer and the league's top goal scorer in the mid-70s. His real-life path used as inspiration in the fictional film.
They're saying Reggie Leach is going to tear up the record books. He's an Indian kid just like you.
I was the Indian guy. I finally had the white guys chasing me. So that's the way I looked at it. I remember my coach, Pat Chanel, telling me that only reason they're calling you names, everything, they're noticing you on ice.
Saul is told the same thing in the movie by his coach. For the actor who plays the older Saul, Indian Horse tells necessary truth for all Canadians.
For the Indigenous audiences that come to see it, I think it's really important for them to be able to see their stories on the big screen and see something that kind of validates their stories.
And while these real-life Indigenous players made it to the NHL, the film isn't a fairy tale. Saul doesn't make it past the abuse to the big leagues.
It showed the truth about the racism and the way they treated Saul. I mean, it happened to a lot of people, including myself.
No sugarcoating a story that many say needs to be told and widely shared. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Toronto.
Still ahead, almost 2 months after the school shooting in Parkland, the student newspaper released its memorial print issue today. Coming up, one of the editors tells us what it's like to be a student journalist and a survivor.
When I was writing the story, I remember I was literally wiping tears away from my eyes as I was typing, and so it just took me a very long time to write the story, but I promised his family that I would write the best story I could ever write for him.
Well, take that. In the world of cyberspace, a message sent in capital letters like that one is a real no-no. It's like picking up the phone and shouting at the person on the other end. Well, so how do you communicate emotion on the internet? Well, those clever internet cadets have come up with a special set of symbols and a code of conduct called, of course, netiquette.
And joining me now from the Midday office to show us how to behave in the wired world is Jim Carroll, author of the Canadian Internet Handbook. Hi, Jim.
Hi there.
So if I write to you on the internet in uppercase letters, it's really rude?
People get stressed about it. I mean, it's difficult to read, it's difficult to understand, it's not easy to read, and people get a little bit concerned about that type of typing.
My goodness. So I guess there's a whole way you have to operate when you're writing on the internet. Can you give us a few of the basics?
Well, psychologists have actually studied it, and I guess the key problem is that you don't see the normal body language of somebody speaking when you're sending electronic communications through the internet. So there's a few things you don't do. You don't send capitals, stuff all in capitals. People call that shouting, and they do say it's difficult to use. Another thing is that when you write a note, you shouldn't copy in everybody. It's very easy to send a message to the president of the organization and send the same message to 300 people at the same time. That certainly causes a lot of people stress because, I mean, people simply start to get too much electronic mail. It's too easy to copy in too many people. And probably the third thing, it happens to a lot of people. It's a really strange development, but what happens with people on electronic mail is they can write something that they might not otherwise say or ever put on paper. They can get very angry very quickly and type with anger into the keyboard. We call that flaming. And inevitably, somebody does it at some point. At some point, somebody using electronic mail will send something, and they'll really regret it later because they'll say things that they didn't mean to say.
So you actually have a term for people who are angry who are writing notes.
Oh yeah, and it happens regularly. You can see messages from people. You wonder, why did they ever send me that? Boy, they must have been in a really bad mood. when they typed it out.
Amazing. All right. Well, is there a site on the internet where you can find all the things you should and shouldn't do? And
there's all kinds of sites. Psychologists are studying it. Sociologists are studying it. It's really a point of fascination for a lot of people. This is an example site that we have here, a beginner's guide to effective electronic mail, and it gives you a lot of tips and pointers about what you should be doing in your messages, what you shouldn't be doing, how to write the message, how to enunciate some of the key points that you're trying to make, the fact that you shouldn't type in capitals, just some of the do's and don'ts of the information highway.
Now, there are all these symbols that you can use for communicating. And what are some of those symbols?
Well, people call them emoticons. I guess people came up with
emoticons?
Other methods. Emoticons. And it means emotion icons. And people came up with methods to say, you know, this is how you can get across that you're happy, that you're sad, that you're angry, or that you're winking at someone. And what they do is they type in little computer symbols, and when you look at them sideways, they represent something.
Okay, so the first one we saw there was happy, and this one, when the happy one is on its side, what does that tell us?
That tells us it's a happy face, and that means if you look at it sideways, there's the mouth, there's the nose, and there's the two eyes.
We are live here on The National, and we continue to follow breaking news from Saskatchewan. The RCMP is now confirming deaths after a tractor-trailer collided with a bus carrying members of a junior hockey team. A number of injuries have been reported as well. The collision happening earlier this evening near the small community of Tisdale. That's about 200 kilometers northeast of Saskatoon. 2 helicopters have been dispatched by the STARS Air Ambulance Service. The Nipawin Hawks of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League wrote on their Facebook page that this crash involved the team bus belonging to the Humboldt Broncos. The league also confirming that a game between the Hawks and the Broncos has been postponed. Well, check out university and college campuses across the country and you'll see a diverse student population. Young people from a broad range of backgrounds, and that's not always the case, though, among the instructors. The Canadian Association of University Teachers says action on staff diversity has stalled.
We can't just think about don't discriminate. We have to think about taking positive strategies so we can change who works at what in the university and in the post-secondary system at large.
Visible minorities make up just over a fifth of instructors at Canadian universities, and that number drops for Indigenous academics to less than 2%. Only 2% of professors are Black, and that is a number that has stayed constant for a decade. As Jayla Bernstein discovered, many students and staff say it's time that all of that changed.
At McGill University, in the heart of cosmopolitan Montreal, there's a noticeable issue.
But in terms of all the old senior professors, they're all white.
This year, Christina Lau had one environmental studies professor who was Black.
Speaking to him versus speaking to my white environment professors was completely different. We talked a lot about racism that we had experienced trying to be environmental.
This Dalhousie University professor says universities have a lot of work to do.
My experience as Black faculty member at Dalhousie is simply being in the, obviously being isolated, quite often having to deal perhaps with shall we say, condescending attitudes of faculty colleagues.
Last year, McGill University launched a diversity survey for all staff members, asking them about their racial and ethnic backgrounds. It's supposed to help provide a clearer picture about the workforce here.
Our goal is to have that data to use it to inform policies. So for example, if we know that we are made up of a certain number of racialized minority groups that are underrepresented relative to the available labor market, then we can do more work with respect to that particular group.
The First Nations University of Canada in Regina has found a way to create that environment.
Because it's just nice to notice that, that my people do good in the world. And it's nice to see people being successful, and it kind of makes me want to strive more into becoming successful as an Indigenous person.
Success many hope to see reflected on campuses across the country. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
Ever tossed a jam jar or yogurt container in the recycling without rinsing it out first? Or put something in the blue bin even though you weren't sure whether it actually was recyclable? Well, it turns out that's probably doing more harm than good. Tonight, as part of the CBC News series, Reduce, Reuse, Rethink, we're taking a closer look at a growing contamination crisis. Too many people are throwing garbage in their blue bins. Toronto, Edmonton, and Halifax have the dirtiest recycling, but it's a problem right across the country. And taxpayers have a choice: clean it up or pay for it.
Every percentage point that we can bring that down, we can save the city between $600,000 and $1 million a year. And that correlates right back into the rates that we charge for waste collection. So the more we can bring that contamination down, the less we have to charge for those services.
So the push is on to educate people and manufacturers about what can and cannot be recycled. Christine Birack sorts through some of the most common contaminants.
Every day, Canadians are playing recycling roulette. Ribbons, light bulbs, clothing, coffee cups. Which bin do you put it in?
Oh, I've landed on toothbrush and paste. I really don't know, seriously.
The answer is garbage. But if you toss it into recycling thinking, who knows? It could end up here.
So you're on the tipping floor of the largest material recovery facility in Canada.
If you can picture it, 800 swimming pools full of loose materials arrive here every day to be sorted and hopefully go on to a new life. What can't be recycled is called a contaminant.
There's a variety of materials that are valuable that are here, and then there's a variety of materials that are a problem.
Is that a problem?
Unfortunately, sad monkey is a problem. That's a contaminant. I see a pair of jeans, I see a backpack here, things that just shouldn't be in a blue box.
Neither should unwashed jars of peanut butter, propane cylinders, syringes, or black plastic containers. Roughly a quarter of what comes in can't move through here.
It can damage equipment, it can cause safety problems for the people that work here, it can contaminate the very valuable materials that come through a facility like this, and we have to do something about that contamination.
Paper towels, candy wrappers, black lid. You know, there's really only one thing in that bag. Oh, and a dead mouse. Look at that. That's obviously not recycling, a dead mouse and a mouse trap. And that's costing every resident in the city money right now. Oh my God.
Sorting and processing misplaced garbage is costing Toronto residents more than $9 million a year. Dead animals aside, what goes into your blue bin has become complicated by mixed plastics and mixed messaging.
And there's a complete disconnect between what a municipality will accept and what manufacturers and retailers are putting into the market and saying is recyclable. And I think it's causing frustration.
Did you get a calendar?
Yes, they did.
Toronto is offering recycling ambassadors to answer questions. One of the most common mistakes, throwing dark garbage bags into recycling bins. At this building, they did something about it.
Yes, we have. And one of the things that we've added to our bins, just as another last-minute reminder to people, is we've created these signs: garbage only, no recycling, no organics on the sign. Recycling only, no dark garbage bags, no organics.
I'm confused about light bulbs.
When in doubt, go online. Cities offer quick sorting tools. They know recycling can be a tricky, expensive game. Christine Birack, CBC News, Toronto.
It is worth noting 2 cities stand above the rest when it comes to clean recycling in Canada. St. John's has a contamination rate of just 3%, and here in Vancouver, it's just 4.6%. That's in part because residents have to sort their recycling, so cardboard containers and paper all go in separate bags or bins. There are also certain items like plastic grocery bags that the cities either won't accept or require to be dropped off at designated depots. Our recycling series will continue in the weeks ahead. If you want to weigh in on any of these stories, CBC News has created a special Facebook page. You can leave comments and share your ideas on how we can rethink recycling in this country.
So help you God? So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
For hundreds of kids in the heart of the troubled Jane and Finch neighborhood, this was a day they'll never forget.
Obama, as an African American, makes you run towards your dreams and accomplishments, and it just gives you the speed of light.
He is a very inspiring person. He changed a lot of things
and many other things will change in the future too because of him.
It just goes to show that black people can do anything anyone else can do.
Speaking out in poems and songs.
The dream we all see is not just a dream. From yes we can to this dawn, the message of love will go on.
Students at Brookview Middle School came together to watch and listen as U.S. President Barack Obama made his inaugural speech to the world.
But because it is the surest route to our common good.
Seeing him actually make the speech for his first day of work was actually amazing.
Martin Luther King's speech, I had a dream, didn't go to waste. Like his dream was about to come true.
There's segregation and still in the United States, but he can move past that and become president and really change the world.
For the school's principal, this was truly a day of hope.
The dream that we all share is that one day our school will not be characterized by its toughness or, the gang-related activities in the area. We'll be characterized by the outstanding citizens we're sending out into the community. And that day is not very far away.
I'm just glad I'm alive so that I could be a part of this wonderful expression of love for one individual and his wife and beautiful children.
I heard the voice of the Reverend Martin Luther King, who in 1963 urged us all, brothers and sisters of this continent, sisters and brothers of this world, to dare to dream big, who urged us all to dare to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. That dream, proclaimed by the Reverend Martin Luther King, helped to pave the way for an African American to take office in the White House today.
Tonight on The National, we are tracking breaking news out of Saskatchewan. A bus carrying a hockey team has been involved in a serious collision with a semi-trailer. The RCMP has confirmed this hour that there have been fatalities, but at this point, no details on the number of people who have died or injured. All of this happening near Tisdale. That's about 200 kilometers northwest of Saskatoon. We do know that there was a game tonight, a junior hockey game, and that has been postponed now. And we know that one of the vehicles here, that bus, belonged to one of the teams. So Olivia Stefanovic is standing by in our bureau in Regina. We're going to talk to her live at the top of the hour as we continue here at CBC with The National. But before we get to that, let's look back for a moment. Over the past 7 weeks, we brought you stories about students in Parkland, Florida. You've heard their voices calling for stricter gun control. They've also been writing, and today the school's paper, The Eagle Eye, released its special memorial issue, and we spoke to one of the editors about this student-led tribute. That is our moment of the day.
It was probably one of the the hardest issue we've ever had to put together and probably will ever have to put together. I was assigned to write a profile on Nicholas Dorat, the swimmer. And for me, visiting his family and getting quotes from them and interviewing his friends was very difficult. Even though some of us didn't know these people personally, you really get invested into their lives, and it almost feels as if they were one of your close friends, and it almost feels like you lost a family member. And so when I was writing the story, I remember I was literally wiping tears away from my eyes as I was typing. And so it just took me a very long time to write this story. But I promised his family that I would write the best story I could ever write for him. And it's kind of like a bittersweet moment for us in newspaper because, yes, we do want the world to see like how wonderful each individual was. It's sad because just now, like, it's almost like it's over. Like, there's nothing else to say about them because the lives that they led on they were all cut short.
You know, the tragedy in Parkland, unimaginable, but so too has been the reaction by the survivors. You know, we had a chance to talk to some of them. I was there the day of the shooting. We were doing an interview nearby, and you know, the poise of people, the eloquence, and we see it again with that incredible student newspaper. They got some help, but they still managed to do a great job. Anyway, that is The National for Friday, April the 6th. Good night.